Hello everyone and welcome to Enrolled Agent. We will call it Enrolled Agent as an EA for this presentation. And today I will give you a brief overview of becoming an Enrolled Agent and an introduction about the EA examination. Becoming an EA is a very privileged right for your career. So we will talk about what it takes and what EAs can do and what would be of value to your career experience for the future. Let me introduce myself first. My name is Sunny Park and I am a CPA and then also for the Certified Information System Auditor. Even though I spent most of my career as an auditor, I started as a tax accountant in local CPA firm. We had about 5 to 7 specialized tax partners. So I had various experience with individuals, partners, and then corporation filing tax returns, and also even for the non-for-profit organization. And then with this experience, I moved to Big Four, which was, mostly they performed the financial statement audits. Then with the financial statement audits, most of EAs helping, and also CPA who is specialized in tax filing, helping the tax adjustment for the EA. And let's go to what EAs, which is Enrolled Agent, defines by the IRS. The IRS terms that we say Enrolled Agent is a person who has earned the privilege of representing taxpayers before the Internal Revenue Service. Enrolled agents like attorneys and certified public accountants are generally unrestricted as to which taxpayers they can represent, what types of tax matters they can handle, and which IRS offices they can represent clients before. What does that mean is privilege is the EA is the tax specialist and tax advisor who can help all levels of clients. We were just mentioned about individuals and partnership and corporation, even for the non-for-profit organizations. And since it is very unrestricted to taxpayers, which means since IRS is the federal government and this EA is certified by the federal government agency, they represent all 50 different states. We will go over later on for what would be the difference between with the CPA and then EA later on this presentation. So first of all, we will go over the application overview, which for the qualification of who can take the EA examination first. So let's go to application overview first for the qualification, which we call it PTIN, which is Personal Tax Identification Number. To get this PTIN number, and I said no education or degree. For here, for someone who tried to get an EA, there's no education background or any degree you need to require, which means you don't need to go to get a degree to go to college or university, spending 4 years and then spending lots of money for that. So anyone who wants to take the EA examination, you only need to get PTIN number, which nowadays most of PTIN number needs to get through for IRS website, which I addressed here. So you can refer to this website. And also for the passing score of this EA examination would be 100 questions, but they only count for 85 questions only. 15 questions would be only for the experimental questions. They won't count it. But on the exam, you would not know which 15 questions would be the experimental questions. So once you see the questions that you never saw it before, then would be, you think about it automatically, it's going to be experimental questions, so you don't care for that much. And you have to get the passing score of 105 out of a total of 130, which means about 70 to 75% is the passing score to get an EA. Exam place would be anywhere in the US, would be a computer-based center. Then you will take the exam with the computer-based. But for the internationally, for this exam place, we will go over more detail later on for this slides. The examination cycle would be any period from May 1st through current year to the February of next year. And when you schedule the examination, it would be every day, and then also sometimes Saturday and Sundays of weekends, and then some locations provide the evening examination as well. For internationally, it used to be same exam cycle by the US, but now since 2020, they changed the exam schedule and exam cycle of August 20 and November and then February. So for the location for international exam would be only for the Korea and Japan and Canada and England and then India. And for the detail of the exam dates would be I listed up here. So you could refer these dates. And then also we will give you the details of website link for next slide. So when you schedule for this exam location and exam dates and then all other information, you could go to this prometriccenter.com and SEE, which we call this examination as a specialized enrolled exam, so which we call also SEE. So SEE is the automatically you think about the enrolled examination, enrolled agent examination for that. So Prometric Center is the website of the prometric.com. And once you go in there and you will get the PTIN number, then you also create an account for the schedule and then pay the fee and then select the location. So PTIN number goes to, I already mentioned for PTIN, which is a previous slide, that it's IRS site. And once you go into this prometriccenter.com, then getting an ID, well, create an account and getting an ID, and then you select the location, and then also you select the availability of the exam schedule. And then you pay the fee about $182, and then they will give you a confirmation. Then if something happens later on, then you won't take an exam or you cancel the exam, you can cancel it anytime without any charge. But it's only 30 days before. We call it previously SE prometriccenter.com, which here we mention is Special Enrollment Examination, which is SEE. The question would be current year of the tax filing return, which is for this year, for 2020, you filing the tax return of 2019, which date will test it only for the tax code of 2019, not for the current year of 2020. So you need to make sure that you will cover for those tax testing for 2019 examination. And you can take the exam anytime, 4 times per testing window. When you say testing window, which I already mentioned about previous schedule, for 2019 through 2020 of February. So every year, the testing window would be the starting from May through February of next year. So you can take it 4 times during those testing period. And you have to pass all three parts. The exam consists of 3 parts in the down below. I mentioned it: individual, businesses, and then representation, practice, and procedures. And once you pass one part, first part, it could be any part, if vice versa, individual, business, representation, any part you could take it first. And then once you pass the first exam, then you have carryover score, which is you have to pass the rest of the parts within 2 years. So for example, you pass the exam first this year, let's say 2020 November 1st, then you have the 2-year period within to complete the rest of 2 parts, the 2 years, which is 2020 of November 1st. If you don't pass by that time, then the second exam you take maybe December, and then you lose the credit the first exam. Then they started at December. So you have to make sure once you pass the first part, then make sure in 2 years you have to pass the rest of 2 parts. From this year, they start to have 15 minutes break. First 50 question you completed. So once you take that 15 minutes break and then completion of first 50 questions, then you want to take a break, then you complete it, and you won't go back to completion of those first 50 questions. But if you don't take that break, you still have a valid to go back to review for first 50 questions. So it's up to you take whether you want to take 15 minutes break or not. So make sure for those 15 minutes break are granted from this year. Continuing for the examination for detail, the exam hours would be a total of 4. But for the first 30 minutes, you need to sign for a non-disclosure agreement, which you won't reveal the questions after finish the exam. And also for facility, environment, and then instruction for the exam details. So you will spend for first 30 minutes for the exam. So the only exam hours would be 3.5 hours. So you have to finish for those 100 questions within 3.5 hours for that time. A lot of people saying that 3.5 hours would be plenty of enough to finish all those 100 questions, even though 15 questions won't count. And once you complete the examination, you would know your grade immediately, pass and fail. So you could prepare for the next exam by your plan, since it is on time, real time result. And exam question going to multiple parts or 3 different types of questions. I listed it here, and direct question and incomplete sentence and all of the following except. I will give you an example for direct questions and incomplete sentence, and then all of the following except questions here. And first question and second question and third question, I will just maybe give you an answer for this. Then maybe you could go on by yourself. So second question, incomplete sentence, would be the answer for D, and then the following for the except would be the question number of C. So these are the 3 types. You just need to make sure that these are the all 100 multiple choice question like this would be. And also I listed up here for all those details of individuals and businesses and the representations and practice and procedures. And for those details, we will go through in a class once you going to take our classes. I want to just read it through for you, and you can read it by your own. As I mentioned it before, what would be the difference between then enrolled agent, which is EA, and then CPA? I just going to briefly mention for this. For the EA examination is only for the tax specialist because it's the federal government examination, and IRS will give you a certification. So it's only for the tax specialist you take the EA. But for the CPA, it's a state examination. So even though you want to practice as a CPA, once you're getting your CPA license, like Maryland, you want practice going to another state like New York or California. So there is a big advantage of getting an enrolled agent, which you could practice all of the states. Who would be qualifying for this enrolled agent, which I mentioned it before. It's anybody who can take the EA examination. You won't need to have any degree or education background to take an EA. But for the CPA, you need to go to 150 credits to finish your college and university degree. And once you finish your college degree, then you need to apply for the exam. And then also certain states you need to getting your work experience, career experience at minimum 2-3 years. So it is much shorter to take an EA exam and be a tax specialist. Exam type, I just mentioned it, all these slides. It's going to be all 3 parts of multiple choice questions, but for the CPA, multiple choice question, plus we call it simulation, which is more to, it's not 100% of the essays, but it's more similar to essay question like. So it is going to be much more complicated questions they cover. Exam place, CPA is only you can take the exam in the United States, but for the enrolled agent exam, you can take the internationally, which is South Korea, Japan, and India, and England, as I mentioned already before. Then license, then it is a federal issued licenses, so you could practice any other 50 states. But CPA, it's only you can practice the license you could get from that state. Once you finish your EA exam, then you fill out the form of 23. It's online also application you could apply through the online IRS website or Prometric Center, which I already gave you a link, the presentation before. And then you will also getting your continuing education program. So we can have all these, getting the PTIN number or registering for your schedule, and then completing these kind of, forms. Then you could help getting through our taking classes. Then we can help you going through this. So what would be the benefit of becoming an EA? We will look at over the career opportunities as an EA. Here, I listed of several opportunities and an advantage to becoming an EA. We could have a very broad range of opportunities in the corporation world and in individual, and then also for the governments. And of course, any industries that has tax filing. I think everyone in the United States needs to they cannot avoid for the tax filing. So pretty much everywhere you could involved in the industry, and then you could get a job. And of course, after passing the EA, you won't have any requirements to getting a certification for EA. So you could open up your own businesses. That means you could work or part-time or full-time. It depends on how many clients or how many customers you could have. which also means that you don't have any more, limited earning potential. So you could make as much as you could. So it is unlimited earning potential they could have. And then another biggest advantage for getting an EA would be the international purpose. Since 2010, the U.S. government has enacted to international governments that I probably listed up for those countries to make sure for those countries they need to have any U.S. person who works in foreign countries, they need to comply with the tax filing. I'm pretty much sure that some people, they heard it, Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act. We call it FATCA. So anyone who is in abroad, when I said anyone means U.S. Citizenship who holding the outside of the United States, they need to have filing with the IRS. So U.S. person who is in outside of the country, they need to file the tax return to the IRS. So someone who has an EA, which means you are in the expert in the U.S. tax code, even though you are in outside of the U.S., you could open your own business internationally. It could be either in Japan or Korea or India and even Canada and then England. So that's the biggest advantage for internationally, you could get the EA. Then how efficiently and effectively you could pass for this EA exam. There must be certain courses that you could take to pass for this EA exam. But we offer for eapass.net, which I mentioned previously, and then I would be your instructor throughout the courses. And the advantage of the eapass.net we have over 16 years of experience. And, as long as you study and then you follow the instruction, and we will go over the real exam-like practice, then you will pass it. I'm sure that you will pass for 100%. So our passing rate for last 16 years is over 95%. And all those detail of lectures that I will provide, some of the other class, they only offer for just, practice for the questions only. But for this class, I will give you all those lectures and IRS tax code and then all those IRS forms and then IRS publications, which I guide you all those details that could be on the exam. So without any background or without any tax knowledge, I'm pretty sure that as long as you follow us, then you could have effectively and efficiently pass for the exam to certain. And like I mentioned, the practice makes perfect, and I will provide you all this actual practice exam. And once you practice and then make sure that you done it, then I'm definitely sure that you pass for this EA easily. And we provide the online courses. So, once you take the online courses, then you don't have anyone to guide you next to you. So you won't know anyone, who can answer your question, but we provide you one-to-one questions. So once you ask a question through the online, then we will right away give you an answer. That's one of the biggest advantage you could provide. And also the EA would be provided another language. So if you speak probably Chinese or Japanese, then definitely we have another classes for those languages, so you could try on that. So for EA examination for the and then preparation for this presentation for now, I will try to wrap it up. And then if you have any other questions and any more details and you wanted to know, then you let us know, then we'll give you an answer. Thank you for listening for this video and then presentation. And then hopefully everyone who try for EA, then you could have a good luck for the exam. Thank you.